Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nanette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast. I am Nan, and I'm here with my co-host, my really super hot, handsome, dang, amazing husband, Bradley.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I even need to do anything else after that type of introduction. Thank you.
You are looking mighty fine, Mr. Brad.
Well, that's what happens when you go from portly to shapely.
Brad is on a healing journey.
Yes, my wife has shamed me into becoming healthier and eating salads.
It's the green drink first thing in the morning.
Yeah, chlorophyll is apparently really good for you, but it is not great for your taste buds.
That's okay. You still look really good.
Well, at least you don't put that nasty, bitter apricot seed in it. That shit was horrible.
Hey, that's supposed to be good for your liver.
Yeah. So we went to a friend's house the other day and we were talking about some of these different things. And she goes, oh, you know what you need to heal livers? You've got to have this bitter apricot seed. And so she gave me 3 of them. I'm like, all right, apricot seeds. I'll eat this. No, it's not like the apricot seeds that my friend's mom used to dry every summer. These things were the most bitter, nasty.
What do you mean your friend's mom used to dry?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The Bensons used to always take their apricots and they'd lay them out. And
Okay, but apricots, but people did not eat those seeds because
yes, they did. The Bensons would crack open the seeds and they would use the seeds.
Really?
Yeah.
Because there's arsenic in them.
Well, apparently it wasn't enough to kill anyone.
Well, no, there's not. But I remember as a little girl growing up and everybody was like, no, you don't eat those because, there's poison in that.
Yeah, his dad was a chemist. I trusted him.
But apparently, if you want to heal your liver, and like I said, we've been on a healing journey. If you want to heal your liver, you take the bitter things. So the apricot seeds are very bitter.
They're horrible. If they get stuck in your teeth, you taste it forever. I had to scrub my mouth. Bad. No, they're awful.
They're not that bad. They kind of have like an almondy flavor to them.
Yeah, for about 2
seconds.
seconds.
And then your tongue goes numb and then it doesn't matter.
my tongue did not go numb. I tasted every miserable second.
Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to everyone that sent in their near-death experiences and also their ghost stories. If you guys will keep those coming, we'll keep sharing them on the show. And we have a little story to share today.
And what's great is we chose a really good near-death experience from one of our listeners that they sent in to info@themormonmediumpodcast.com. You guys can send things in there as well. And Nan's going to read it because it comes from one of our female listeners.
Do you want to what is a near-death experience?
Okay, near-death experience.
I mean, not a lot of people experience them, right?
That's true. Well, and you know what? I don't even know if near death would be the best term for it, right? Maybe shortly death experience, because what it is essentially the body dies for a short period of time. And during that flatline, many people have reported having some sort of an ethereal experience where they go to the other side of the veil.
That's so cool.
And
that would be life-changing, right?
Absolutely would be life-changing. Can you imagine having that firsthand experience going, wait a minute, there's more?
There's more.
Yeah. And I think that this story from our listener very much emphasizes exactly what that could do for you in your life.
All right. So our listener says, in the spring of 1974, I had my gallbladder removed. Not in the laparoscopic way it is done nowadays. Back then, it was a very serious surgery. They would do an incision, then remove your stomach, set it aside, then take the That's just awful.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine? Holy shit.
Can you imagine the incision? So they'd set the stomach aside, then they'd take the gallbladder out, then replace your stomach, stitch it back up, and then you would be in the hospital for like a week or two in recovery.
Wow.
That would suck.
What if they put the stomach in a little bit wonky? Would it like?
What if they twisted it?
Well, they don't hang like a dog's stomach, so we don't get tummy twist like a puppy does.
I don't know. Like taking it
But
out.
yeah,
and
they
you
could
just
totally.
don't know.
Yeah, or like kink your bowel or something. That's scary.
Terrifying.
Super scary.
Yeah. My gallbladder surgery wasn't like that.
No.
Once home, it took weeks to fully recover. I can imagine. After my surgery, I realized that I had been above my bed watching things unfold. I vividly remembered how the nurses told my parents to leave the room as they were frantically trying to revive me. At this point, I watched as 4 nurses, each moving a limb, were moving my arms and legs. I guess trying to get my blood pressure to rise.
Okay, so one of the things that's really common in a lot of these near-death experiences is people report seeing things from an elevated point of view. So
Right.
Up in the side of the corner of the ceiling, watching as everything happened. And there are a lot of cases where people have seen things occur in other places than where their body was. So it's almost like an astral projection at some points as well. They'll be able to tell details of happenings
Around them.
that weren't even around them, like hundreds of miles away.
Really?
Yeah, very
So
fascinating.
literally their spirit is leaving the body, but still tethered to the body, but they're able to see things other places.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, which is really interesting because I've had readings where clients have a family member that is under general anesthesia in surgery, and they'll show up in a reading and tell me stuff and let me know to the client what's going on. And it's stuff that only that person would know.
Wow.
Really crazy. So yeah, if the body is in a stress situation, it'll leave. The spirit will leave the body and stay tethered. That's what it sounds like happened to this person. I could see my parents out in the hallway. My father had his arm around my mother, trying to comfort her, telling her that I would be okay. This was heartwarming and interesting to me because they kept their affection with each other very private.
Wow. So she got a view into something that not a lot of people
She
saw.
wouldn't get to see.
That's really
normally.
special.
Yeah, that's really cool. As I kept watching, I realized that I wasn't alone. Even though I couldn't see anyone, I knew there was in fact someone standing beside me watching these events unfold.
Wow.
You know when you can just feel people behind you or by you?
Yes. You know, like in a dark room, if somebody's in a dark room with you,
You can feel it. Everything's energy. I wasn't afraid at all. It was a very calm and loving feeling. Neither one of us were in physical form. It was purely ethereal. This was amazing. This ethereal being began to talk with me. It definitely felt like a masculine presence, said, "You can come with me right now, but remember your son." I had recently given birth to the most precious little boy. He was now a baby, barely 4 months old. And I had an immediate and very visceral response to this. I said or thought, I can't leave my baby to be raised by his dad. I was in the process of a really messy divorce.
Wow.
No, that would be so hard.
Well, and to go, what's going to happen to my child if something happens to me?
Right. Well, if there's anything to live for, moms live for their babies.
That's true.
No sooner than I had communicated that thought, I was suddenly back in my body and feeling the pain. That super sucks.
Right. Going from such a calm, peaceful, loving feeling to going, oh my God, I'm dying. I hurt
She's like,
so
just
bad.
teasing. I'm going back. Forget it. This is
Right?
bullshit. No. I was so disappointed that I wasn't able to visit longer, but in complete awe over what had just happened. When I told my parents about the experience, my mother said, "Oh, that was just the anesthesia."
Which I think a lot of people will say that, right? They might have something like this happen and people just blow it off. They don't give it any credence.
I think the logical mind just has to make sense of things like that, especially if you're not more on the spiritual side. But I think this makes complete sense. Absolute complete sense. So she goes on to say, however, when she left my room, my dad said, "Don't you believe that? I know your experience was genuine because I had the same thing happen to me when I was a small boy during a sickness. My dad was my rock, and this experience tied us together in a whole new way."
Wow.
That's just so cool. Can you say generations of gifted? Hello.
Right. Well, and yeah, to be able to remember that, because I think it happens to more people then we realize, but I think a lot of times you don't remember. Kind of like a dream, right? Like,
Right.
And they'll explain it a little bit like, hey, you know how you remember your dreams, but sometimes they're kind of fuzzy. Some dreams are really vivid, some dreams are not. Well, this was definitely not like remembering a dream. It's more like an actual experience. And that's how
Right.
people will explain it when you look up different recountings of near-death experiences.
You know how we had discussed just a few minutes ago if something like this would change someone? She goes on to say, before this experience, I was very afraid of death. After that, though, I have never been afraid of death again because now I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is more for us once we leave our physical bodies, and it will be pain-free, beautiful, and filled with love.
Wow. How powerful,
That makes me tear up
right?
because it couldn't be more true, right? The other side is just filled with so much love, and this is just such a beautiful story. What a beautiful experience. Thank you to our listener for sharing that with us.
Yeah. She asked that we not share her name. She is a very loyal listener and tells us that she loves to have coffee with us in the mornings every Thursday. So thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, we love you. I was going to tell you, while I was reading that, I remember my son, when he was 4 years old, he had to have some dental surgery. And back, when he was little, he's older, a lot older now. But back then, when a child has to have, some in-depth dental surgery, they'll put them to sleep.
Yeah.
So they'll put them under like a general anesthesia.
That's a horrible way to say it. They'll put them to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what veterinarians do.
Oh, stop it. Not like that. General anesthesia, I just said that. But I remember he had his favorite Blinky and he had his favorite stuffed animal. And I mean, at 4 years old, those are like everything. Little kids carry those everywhere.
Yeah.
And they didn't want him. They're like, he can carry this back to the operating room, but we're going to have to take it away when we get back there. And so I tried to explain to him, the nurse is going to take you back in your Blinky. And then, because he didn't even want to get on the gurney. And I'm like, but then you're going to lay on this bed and they're going to work on your teeth and then you'll wake up and you'll be all done. And he was terrified, just terrified. But I remember when they brought him back out, he was still asleep. And when he started to wake up, he looked at me and he said, Mommy, they wrapped me in my Blinky. And I looked at the nurse because she had told me he couldn't have any of that stuff.
Right.
I looked at the nurse. She goes, there's no way he'd know that. I'm like, what do you mean? And she says, well, his body got really cold. And she says, so I just grabbed his Blinky and I wrapped him all up in his Blinky, but he was out cold.
Wow.
So he saw himself up above his body and he saw them wrap him in his Blinky.
The same type of experience that this listener had.
Exact same thing. But he was only 4 years old and he didn't,
He didn't have the flat line, but he did have the anesthesia.
But he had the anesthesia, which I see a lot in readings. When people are not in their right mind, they could have dementia or, be almost close to the veil or have anesthesia. They'll show up in a reading. And sometimes I can't tell the living from the dead because I'm like, hang on a second. But that's exactly what happened to my son. So, yeah.
So do they come to you differently? Do they look different? How do you determine this is somebody who is actually still living for somebody who has passed?
The sitter usually tells me, no, that was my mom and she's in surgery. And I'm like,
Interesting.
oh, that makes so much sense.
Okay.
Because I can remember my first gift is that of sight. So I can describe him to a T.
Right.
I'm like, well, this is what I'm seeing and this is who it is. And it feels like your mom. Yeah, but my mom's in surgery. I'm like, yeah, she's in and out and in and out. And literally she'll fade in and fade out and fade in and fade out. And it's like, yeah, and at the time she was literally coming out of surgery and having issues coming out of anesthesia. So she was coming out of surgery, issues coming out of anesthesia.
Wow. That's amazing to have that confirmation though from your sitter to be like, hey, this is what's going on.
It's happened a few times. So I find it really interesting that our listener, her story was like that. And my son, I had forgotten about that so many years ago.
How cool. What a cool memory. Now you can call him up and say, hey, do you remember this? Let's
Call
talk
him
about
up,
it.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool. See if he even remembers.
Right?
I bet he doesn't remember.
I don't know. He probably does.
He is super gifted. Yeah. He probably remembers. We'll have to see.
So as we were talking about near-death experiences and how they would change your perspective on life before the show started, Nan and I decided that when we drew a card today, that it needed to be something of gratitude. And she actually has a gratitude oracle deck is what it's called. And so she decided to draw a card out of the gratitude deck. And it's perfect timing, right? Thanksgiving's coming up and we should all be grateful for what we have and what's going on in life. And so Nan has drawn a couple of gratitude cards.
They fell out, so
So as she was shuffling, these cards literally just fell out of the deck. And if you want to see what they look like, check out the Mormon Medium on Instagram, or you can look up the Mormon Medium podcast on Facebook, and we'll post pictures of the cards.
So the first of the 3 cards that flew out of my deck is Intermingle. I've not seen this one. It's really, really beautiful. You guys have got to go check it out. And with these gratitude cards is an affirmation and a little bit of an explanation for each of the cards. But it says, once you are actively involved in a gratitude-centered lifestyle, you may attract people who are on the same path. How many times do we see that happen?
All the time. Well, and you say that all the time, like attracts like, and when vibrations match, then we're drawn.
Right. And if your vibration shifts and you're healing and the people around you are a different vibration, they'll vibrate right out of your space. And then you wonder why you're kind of left alone for a minute because you've got new vibration coming towards you. It's really, really cool that together you might form a mutually beneficial network of support, and you may become a mentor or find a member who can assist you with your positive outlook. You may find influential people and backers to help with all you are trying to create. The affirmation is, I am grateful to be working with others to help them achieve their goals and create my gratitude network. Which
that
I
sounds
love.
like your card.
Find your vibe, find your tribe type of thing. So it's the card Intermingle. I think that that's really interesting. I'm just wondering, are these my cards? Oh my goodness. Okay, imagination is the next one. Imagination is more than fantasizing and creating stories of magical beings or faraway places. It is the origin of originality and innovation. Innovation and vision can be expressed through the arts, literature, technology, and science. When you utilize imagination, it enables you to think creatively and come up with unique solutions, and it can help you cultivate resourcefulness and inspiration. The affirmation is, I gratefully use my imagination to visualize and manifest my dreams.
Do you know what? And how important is that to utilize that imagination? How often do you hear little kids being told, oh, that's just an imaginary friend? You know what I mean? Instead of encouraging them to use their imagination and to think up exciting new games to play or fun little things that they do purely through imagination or creating through art. It's so important to encourage those little ones to use their imagination and to grow.
And, you know, it's not just little ones. It's all of us. We all need that creativity and imagination to create and to manifest the dreams that we all have. But we're afraid to dream because, you know, we get in our heads and think that it's not possible. My next card is just beautiful. It shows... It's a baby's face, and he's surrounded by butterflies, bubbles, insects, flowers, birds, and a rabbit.
I just think of the baby from the Teletubbies in the sun.
Right? You're going to
Terrify Britain if he
terrify
listens.
our son. This one is open-minded to be open-minded. It may be challenging to let go of expectation. You might find yourself trying hard to identify whether the outcome of a situation will be good or bad. Being open-minded means releasing your assumptions and coming to a person or situation afresh. The affirmation is, I'm grateful for my ability to be open-minded. And I think that these go so beautifully together because if you can be open-minded and understand that as you heal, your vibration changes and you have all these brand new beautiful things coming towards you, beautiful people, things, abundance, love, especially in a world like we have right now. This is so needed, and our imagination is the core of what that is, of our creativity, and it's also our sacral chakra, where our creativity sits. So that's creation right there. I think it's amazing. And we all are going to be responsible for creating the life that we want. especially, like I said, amongst the fear that's all out there in the world. Stop looking at the news and surround yourself with creativity, imagination, and be open-minded about things and start to see the beauty that happens in your life.
Yeah, so we can all raise the vibration of the planet, one person at a time.
One person, and then it's a collective consciousness that just kicks that negativity right out.
Yep.
Boom.
Exactly.
Love is the strongest of emotions, the strongest of everything. I mean, in the presence of love, nothing negative can stand. So I think it's just beautiful.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Please, if you like the show,
Let us know.
let us know by giving us a 5-star review. That would be fantastic. And leave some comments so that we have some feedback for other people to see when they're looking at our show and trying to decide if they should listen or not.
And if there's a subject or a ghost story or a near-death experience that you'd like to share, please share it with us. We would love to get to know you better. And you can send that to info@themormonmediumpodcast.com. Guys, we're so grateful for you, especially this time of year. It draws our attention to all of the things that we have that are beautiful in our life. So you guys go out and create, sprinkle the world with love, and know that we love you right back. And we will see you
On the other side of the veil.